Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. We are back today with a retro dead stock review. Nike Vaporfly OG. It's not the 4. I know a lot of people want the 4, which is coming soon. And you know where I got this shoe though? Supwell app. So if you're looking for a cool retro shoe, vintage shoe, if you're looking for a shoe that's only available on the Japanese market like the S4 Plus Yogiri, or an OG like the Prime X Strung OG, make sure you're on the Supwell app. It's my app. It's the best buy, sell, and trade marketplace for hobby joggers. If you're interested in the culture of running shoes, you gotta be there because people post links to early access, early releases. People are buying and selling, trading stuff. People are posting all the old inventory. I saw some OG Super Blasts going up on the marketplace recently. So if you're interested in the culture of running shoes and you wanna be part of the best community of people getting after it and getting better daily, sign up for the Supwell app and enjoy today's video. This morning, we are going back in time about 5 years, even more than 5 years, to try the original race shoe, the original super shoe, the Nike Vaporfly. Now, I've tested nearly every single, if not probably every single race shoe available on the American market that's released. And when the new ones come out, guess what? I test those too. So we're going back in time to see how this original one compares. Now, in 2025, we still have the exact formula that's in here, which is, let's take a look at the Nike Vaporfly 3. Stack of race foam, soft and bouncy, or at least explosive and high energy returning. Something where when you're running fast, it gives you more zip and zoom out of it. And this is actually called ZoomX. Carbon fiber plate and a lightweight package. That's what the original Vaporfly was. We've also seen brands going with a lot more foam and cushion to offer comfort and support for runners who aren't going to be running 205, 208 marathons. This is what I ran yesterday, the New Balance SC Elite V4. So I want to see how the old first ever race shoe compares to both these modern hobby jogger friendly shoes and the more aggressive elite fast products. This is one that hobby joggers like as well, the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. But this is now the one that has dethroned the current Vaporfly. Or is the Vaporfly 4 the current one? I guess the Vaporfly 4 is the current one, but it's been released only in very small batches. This has that Hornet-like, low-to-the-ground, streamlined, fast feel of the Vaporflies of yours. So let's take this thing out and see. Got this from my guy Edward Stern on the Supwell app, by the way. Woo! Look at this. This is brand new, dude. This is legitimately brand new, never been used before. Vaporfly. That is pretty crazy. Right? In 2025, getting a fresh, dead stock, never been used Vaporfly. And I actually bought another pair of shoes from my guy Edward Stern because he had a pair of Adidas Prime X Strung OG. So this guy has a sock fitting upper, nice and stretchy here. You get that ZoomX. Do they even say ZoomX on it? I don't think they say ZoomX anywhere on here. And this is interesting. Forefoot has full rubber coverage. There's no even strategic rubber. And if we compare it to the Vaporfly 2 or Next Percent 2, wow, same thing. That's interesting. That's just a really weird minor quirk. Another thing is, in this OG Vaporfly here, you do get the back covered. So you're not going to get that exposed foam in the back. And if you look at my Vaporfly 2, I haven't run in this thing in a while, but you can see there's just been massive chunks of foam clipped off the end here from, I actually used this for a downhill half marathon, and it got completely torn up. So let's see. Feels pretty lightweight. Yeah, it's got that nice rigid plate. I don't feel any softness of the foam, which is interesting. And one thing that's a dynamic here is how much has this platform changed over time, because it's just been sitting in, I'm sure Edward, he lives in New York. I'm sure he had this sitting in a nice climate controlled room in his apartment, or at least his closet that is likely air conditioned in the summer and heated in the winter. So it's not going to be going through any massive temperature changes. And we'll just have to see, though, because 5 years, I don't know, how much does a performance running foam change over 5 years? And this is something that's talked about more in the sneakerhead community with basketball shoes and more streetwear shoes, how much these materials evolve over time and degrade. It's not talked about so much with running shoes, but it looks like it's in decent shape still. This foam is pristine white here. There's the classic Zoom X creasing and crinkling. You get the Nike racing tag on the back here. This looks like a sharp shoe. It also looks like the new crimson colorway that Nike has going on in the Vaporfly 4. Not a huge rocker. That's the thing with some of these older shoes. They don't have as aggressive of a platform. And it is more like a racing flat versus a modern marathon shoe. And just comparing it here. So this is the one. We have the 2 here. I should go get the other shoe. Oh, let's just take this one. Yeah, this is the 1. It really looks like an elevated racing flat that just has the carbon fiber plate in there. And then we have the 2. They've gone a touch more rocker, but not much. And then the 3 is really where they started going up in stack height. I actually felt that this one had too much foam under the forefoot here, that I was fighting against foam. And that's why on the 4, which I should be getting soon, they've gone down in stack height to give more control in the front and to return it to the feeling here. So let's put this thing through the lab and get some specs. Man, so it's actually starting to rain here. This is going to be an interesting dynamic. I don't know if I want to take the crispy dead stock Vaporflies out in the rain, but Vaporfly 3, to get a baseline, this comes in at 204.5 grams. That is very light. The lightest mainstream racing shoe on the market currently right now, though, is the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris at 191.1 grams. Let's compare that to the Vaporfly OG here. This thing comes in at 213.5 grams. So look at that. Not much has changed from the original to the new one. And I knew the current Vaporfly 4, that's actually gone down a few grams in weight. That's likely going to be coming in below 200 grams in my size, but still same ballpark. And this is the thing with the modern race shoe format. There actually has not been too much innovation. There's been some design breakthroughs in terms of the structure of the shoe, where brands have gone illegal with the midfoot stack height to get around the regulation of it has to be below 40 millimeters in the back. Some brands have added the bump in the middle, in the front, so you can add stuff more foam there. But other than that, the materials really haven't changed all that much. You see these weights aren't that different. And even though brands are going to the TPU and TPEE, the weights are still roughly similar. So this was a breakthrough product. You get more foam, more cushion and comfort over the distance versus the traditional racing flats, which will have that standard EVA. So you could go up in stack height while having the same or lower weight. And as you can see, the new stuff is really right around the same ballpark. It is a 10% difference, though, which over the course of a marathon, if you are an elite and if you are eliminating all the other variables that might go into a race day performance, for example, you've nailed your fueling, you've nailed your training, you know you're not going to blow up, or you're minimizing your risk of blowing up, that 10% difference could be meaningful. But on foot, for me, I do not feel functionally the difference between a 191 gram shoe and a 210 gram shoe. I can feel the difference between a 270 gram shoe and a 200 gram shoe though. So same ballpark, but we have gone 10% lighter here. And if we go all the way to the other end of the spectrum, the Max Stack racing shoes, this guy is 268.5 grams. Now this is a size 11 US men's, but still it would be around 255, 260. And this is what I'm saying with brands changing the format slightly. You're getting more foam in the midfoot here because New Balance has gone with a lower drop and because they have a flatter platform here. If we looked at a shoe like the Cielo, that would also have more foam in the middle than the back. And with a shoe like this, the additional cushion is coming in not just from the stack, but look at this, from the width too. So SC Elite V4, the most capacious race shoe, the widest and bulkiest, 89 millimeters across. If we compare that to the OG Vaporfly, 78 millimeters across. And if we compare that to the Metaspeed Sky Paris, even narrower at 75 millimeters across. So this is what I'm saying, man. The Sky Paris, Edge Paris, these are really the shoes keeping the spirit of the original Vaporfly alive, that light, fast, nimble style of race shoe. We can get some specs in here with the Vaporfly 3. Let's see how much it's changed since this one. And wow, there is a lot of pollen out here. This one is 76 millimeters across. So they've kept the format pretty consistent in all these generations of the Vaporflies. Let's get a QA check. Right shoe coming in at 204.5. Was that exact? Was that an exact match? Oh no, it was 214.5. Tell me there's not something in here. Yeah, the left shoe. All right, Nike QA left shoe is around 230. This is now saying 213.5, so it's maybe 1 gram difference. But the right shoe is all around 204, 205. Yeah, so not good QA on the OG Vaporfly. Maybe the right shoe, some of the moisture in it evaporated over time. I don't know. That is a pretty wide difference. I'm going to give him a pass on this since this shoe is 5 years old, though. Let's do a stack check. So as I mentioned, all these race shoes need to be below 40 millimeters in the heel in the men's sample size 9. This thing is a 10.5. Let's see where it's coming in. Look at that, 38.9. And because of the regulations, not much can change in terms of where these brands are putting their stack height. So yeah, around 38 in the left shoe. And slightly lower in the right, 37.4. And I think the Vaporfly has always been slightly lower, at least in the current generation. They've gone down. Let's check the Vaporfly 3. This is a shoe that compresses a lot with the soft Zoom X. Yeah, this one is down at 35 with some mileage. That's crazy. So a Vaporfly 3 with 60, 70 miles is lower than a fresh OG Vaporfly. If we compare that to Super Max Stack, New Balance SC Elite, this guy comes in at 38. Would you look at that? Just around 38. Again, all these brands have to play by the same rules, but some of them do evade the rules by the heel geometry. This, I did run 20 miles in this yesterday, so it's probably compressed a few millimeters. And then for good measure here, let's get the 2. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save the 2. Let's get the Sky Paris. The 2, in my opinion, is the best Vaporfly. It was light, it was fast, easy to pick up the pace, wasn't fighting against the foam, but just enough cushion for that half marathon distance. Wow, look at that. Is that true? Sky Paris is 34 on the left? Yeah, dude, that's crazy. Sky Paris is coming in 34. I'm going to hit that one more time. That's wild. Yeah, Sky Paris is coming in 34 at the left. So there really is a difference between these light bruiser style nimble race shoes and these more max stack tank long run cruisers like the SCLE V4. All right, let's get this thing on, see how it does. The looks of these are very 2010s millennial Allbirds. I'm about to go sleep on my Casper mattress and order myself a new pair of Warby Parker glasses in my $2,700 per month Brooklyn one-bedroom apartment. All right, lacing up the OG Vaporfly here. It's got a tight race fit, man. This thing is snug. But the upside is I feel strapped in like a rocket. It reminds me of the Alphafly upper. It's way tighter and more constricting, but similar type of feel. I forget what they call it. They have a tech name for the upper on the Alphafly. And this is surprisingly cushioned and also surprisingly firm. Firmer than the step-in on the Vaporfly 3 for sure. It feels more of like the Alphafly step-in feel. The other thing though is the geometry is so normal. It feels like a Nike Freerun. Now there is a bump in the midfoot. There's a midfoot arch on the step-in. And I'm wondering if that's what people used to complain about in the Alphafly 2 as well. That same thing, that midfoot arch bump. But yeah, the underfoot geometry is so normal. It's much flatter than we've come to expect out of these race shoes. And it actually does feel decently stable, even though it has that sub 80 millimeter width heel. It feels decently stable because this foam is not squishing around everyone stepping. The difference between this and the new foams in the Saucony Endorphin Elite and the Adidas Adios Pro 4, the difference is wild. This is so much more normal feeling. The upper is really tight, but all right, walk test. Man, this reminds me so much of the Vaporfly 2. And as soon as I'm starting to walk here, I can feel that nice compression. I can feel it squishing down in the back. There's just nothing like a fresh pair of Vaporflies, man. It is such a nice feeling. And even with the Vaporfly 3, I don't love it, but when it's fresh, these things just sing. The ZoomX foam out of the box is so special, and I can feel that here. Even though it's 5 years old, these have never been worn. My guy Eddie Stern never wore them. It feels so nice. So I'm ready to go rip and see. I'm not going to rip. I'm going to do my normal run with some pace pickups here and there. Not putting this through a super aggressive workout, but I'm ready to get some miles in it and see how it compares because it feels super nice. So plan for this run, normal run with some pace pickups here and there. I'm just going to take it out by feel, test these, put them through the gears, see how they do compared to the new stuff. Let's do it. It's crazy how small and narrow these are. If I were buying them, I might go up a full size. They are really small in a 10.5. Man, this ZoomX, original ZoomX 5 years on, still feels amazing. Yeah, no wonder this is a game changer, man. The cushion here is great. Really packs a punch. I can feel the bounce. I feel that softness as I'm running. It just feels effortless.
I don't know why brands are trying to do all these crazy shenanigans with super soft foams and midfoot. This is what you need right here. Simple, lightweight, fast feeling shoe. Early overreaction, this is still a banger. This is awesome. This is what race foam is supposed to be. Lightweight, bouncy, comfortable. And as I'm picking up the pace, it feels so explosive. Reminds me of my first few times wearing the Vaporfly too. There's no mushiness at all. I did a retro review of the Peg Turbo a few months ago, and I thought this is what I was gonna be getting. This is the real deal. I hated that Peg Turbo. This thing is amazing though. Feels like I'm floating. It really does feel like a super shoe. I don't call shoes that, but this one is worthy of that moniker. The one interesting thing is the sizing. It is so small. I wonder if brands have expanded their sizing just slightly over the past 5 years. It's like how car makers keep making SUVs bigger and bigger. Our size 10.5 is now bigger than 5 years ago. Mile 1, 7:13 pace. Crazy thing too, it's not making me land a certain way. I can land heel. I can land midfoot power. I can land finesse forefoot. It all feels good. This shoe is incredible.
Just winging it.
You want to tell them about it?
Yeah. So, Taco Bell 50K this Thursday on National Burrito Day. So we're actually copying off of Taco Bell 50K in Denver. That's an actual race.
Oh, okay.
They do a 50K and hit 10 different.
They hit the bong out there.
Yeah, 10 different Taco Bells. So people recreate it in their own city. So I tried to hit 10 in Charlotte, but we don't have enough.
We don't have 10 Taco Bells in Charlotte?
No, we do, but it'd be like...
North Charlotte, Huntersville.
Like 50 miles.
Yeah.
It'd be like 60 miles.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, 50K, we're hitting 6 Taco Bells. You got to order a menu item at each one to eat it.
That's awesome.
So there's about 8 of us right now. It's probably going to be like a no drop.
Yeah.
Just hang out and do it together. Create some great stories.
How long you think it'll take?
Oh man, 6-7 hours maybe.
Oh gosh.
Depends on how long we sit at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So someone in I don't know if it's on Strava or on your app.
Supwell app.
On Supwell, someone was like, "Hey, can you get the app and order it ahead of time?"
Oh yeah, so it's waiting.
So that's brilliant.
That's a new dimension.
So we may do that. I don't know. We'll see. I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I'm out of shape.
That's funny.
For that, but I'm just gonna go.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then I forgot to text you back, but the July thing, I just, good luck, caught up with my friend Jim, who was coming back from the other side. We ran for about a mile together. He's doing a Taco Bell 50K Thursday, and then he has an ultra in July. that I'm gonna crew him for. But yeah, I mean, these shoes are great. He was running in the Mag Max. This is not a Mag Max, but the cushion is incredible. Or I'm surprised how cushioned these feel. They're not harsh at all. It's shoes like this that just make me wonder, what the heck is Saucony doing? What the heck is Adidas doing? This is the formula, and it has not changed. This is still a banger. If this is what the new Vaporfly feels like, it's gonna be incredible. And it's gonna be one of the best race shoes. This is still a top 5 race shoe. Other than the sizing, which is not a real issue. You just gotta half size up. Well, you can't unless you go back in a time machine. Man, there's just nothing like some fresh Zoom X. Fresh pair of Vaporflies in the morning. Catching up with a friend. What could be better? Imagine being sponsored by Nike and just access to fresh Vaporflies all the time. These are so good. This is like when I tried the Adidas Prime X Strong OG. Some of the OG legends truly are legends. This is a legend. This lives up to the hype, surpasses it. There was really no hype in terms of people asking me to review this. I just wanted to check it out. This is way better than I anticipated. Now we're 3 miles in here. I think I'm just gonna bang some 400 pickups or something. I don't know. Just do a fartlek here, just test some pace. I have some crazy workouts coming up, so I'm not gonna go too deep in the tank, but short bursts to see how these feel. Let's do it. First minute was a marathon pace rep. Just did a minute on, minute off. It's wet out here. Grip isn't that great. Who cares? Hey, it's raining now. Depreciation on these is gonna be crazy. Just took them out in the rain. OG Vaporflies. But guess what? The appreciation on the Supwell app valuation is 15x after this video. If I raise money right now, I'll be a millionaire on paper. That's not cap, by the way. The only thing cap is the lack of investors on the cap sheet, because it's just me. I own 100%. That went over a lot of people's heads. So I've done 4 of these reps, just 1 minute around threshold marathon pace. So comfortable. The bounce is awesome. The one flaw, this is not a perfect shoe. There are trade-offs to every shoe, even the original super shoe. The one flaw is that it is soft. It is soft. You can't evade the softness and the squishiness. As I'm driving, getting down to that threshold pace, I can feel the protection isn't as great as I prefer. Deviate Nitro Elite 3, Alpha Fly, even the Metaspeed Sky Paris, or at least the amount of cushion between my forefoot and the ground. In this thing, I can feel it compressing more. It's not bottoming out, but it's just a much more nimble, traditional feel. You gotta remember, This is also original Max Cushion gang though. At the time when this was released, nobody was doing a 40 millimeter stack because it would have been a complete brick with the foams that were on the market. So these lighter, softer, bouncier foams unlock that capability. I'm gonna do this last rep here. I'm gonna burn a 200 at mile pace here. Let's do it. I think the guy I bought these from might be a hedge fund billionaire or something like that. I'm not kidding. His email address is something capital. And then I was emailing him one time and he was talking about my executive assistant is gonna send these out. And gosh dang, bro. The guy's putting in work. Yeah, I stepped on a crack and I could feel my big toe flexing. So there is some proprioception here. More ground feel and control in the front. Crazy thing is, I think I may have gotten too fast for soft shoes at my size with my style of running. 620 to 7 flat pace in soft shoes. What is that, the mayor? Hey. Interesting. That was the mayor giving me an update on the police situation. Apparently somebody called the cops 5 times on me for running and filming. And the commander told them that wasn't a crime. So then they started calling the cops on me for filming and driving. But guess what? Still out here again after it. The crazy thing is, I come out here, you even see today, everybody I see out here waves and smiles, asks me how many miles I'm running. I've never once had a bad encounter with somebody in this neighborhood in real life. It's scared people inside their house. That's the issue, man. Everyone is scared. That's what bigotry is people being scared. That's what happens too when you have a country governed by fear. Bunch of cowards out here. I wonder what would have happened if they just came out and asked me, hey, what are you filming? Or even asked me to stop filming by their house or something if that's what was bothering them. Because I'll definitely do that. If somebody doesn't want I don't even know. 4 to 5 times though, that's crazy. Can you imagine calling somebody or the cops on somebody 4 to 5 times for not committing a crime and then lying about a crime? Bro, this is, I'm hot. And it honestly makes me upset. We put these nice Adirondack chairs in the back this weekend, enjoying the yard, dealing with the chicken drama. I actually had to go talk to the chicken owners, who are very nice, but the chicken yesterday jumped on our table as we were having brunch outside. This woman was appalled. She was like a 55-year-old mom from Ohio, and she said it's the chickens were her daughter's project, which explains a lot. Her teenage daughter's project. She said they were trying to stay out of it. So that's the resolution to the chicken story. But yeah, man, we were enjoying the day outside. Charlie and I were talking about all the things we want to do. The backyard, put up a new fence, maybe even put a hot tub in. I don't know if we can swing it this year, but maybe for next summer. And to know that there's someone in this neighborhood trying to call the cops on me for running, guess what? I'm here. I'm still gonna be here. They don't want me here. We're gonna get the nicest hot tub in Mint Hill. No, we're not. That'll be very expensive. I'm not scared of anybody. This is the thing. It's a bunch of scared people doing scared things. I'm gonna keep doing my own thing, my own way, and nobody's gonna stop me. You can't, hold on. It's not a joke, but I have my joking face for some reason. You can't bully me and intimidate me. I cannot remember the last time I was scared of somebody else. The only thing I'm scared of, stray dogs and lightning. Call the cops on me. I am the cops. It's also just a gigantic waste of taxpayer money, calling the cops 10 times on somebody for something that's not a crime. That's anti-American. I should file a civil suit. Class action. People of Mint Hill v. Karen for wasting taxpayer dollars. Complete bogus. That's legitimately clown behavior. There's got to be some recourse for that. You can't just call the cops on somebody 10 times for something that's not a crime and get away with it. And people want to talk about law and order. That's against law and order. Alright, I'm in an annoyed mood now after learning more about the situation, but that was my elite 6:48 pace. These things feel great, so comfortable. At these paces, that's where this shines for me. 6:20 to 7:20 range. About a 3 to 3.5 hour run. Part of me wants to lawyer up and just bury this person. I'm not gonna do it though. Am I gonna do it? I don't know. The other thing I forgot, look at this. Right here at the end of our neighborhood, they're building a gigantic park. This is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be finished this fall. This fall, gigantic park with a splash pad and everything, just about a mile from my house. It's gonna be unreal from the kids. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Lovely day for some mileage. I mean, look at this. Let's just take a second to appreciate. This is the best time of year. This is the best time of year. And I think we've successfully resolved the chicken situation too. Even better. There was a slug on my hand this morning when I was getting those glamour shots for IG. What could be better? Some fresh Zumax on a Monday. Running a fresh pair of Vaporflies is the opposite of a Monday morning. And it's crazy. I was thinking this is great at sub 3 paces. My pace was exactly sub 3 pace. Average for that run, 6:50. 1 hour, 10 minutes, 27 seconds. This is just a fun shoe, man. Oh, wow. That is wild, though. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. I guess we've seen the downside of having them in a box for 5 years. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. Look at this. The foam is disintegrating. Is this a one and done shoe? Look at the inside here. Oh, gosh. Looks like it's mostly the paint coming off. Actually, that's just hilarious. Evo Pro, who? I'm glad I got some good glamour shots before taking them out to run. But yeah, this, no, in the back you have that classic Zoom X-ray. But this is the thing. It's wild to me how they went backwards in terms of the rubber coverage on the back here. Look, OG, perfectly placed rubber for heel striking in the back. And then in the 2, they said, nah, fam, no. And it's completely exposed. And same thing in the 3. I've just mashed this thing. But man, I used to love the Vaporfly, and I used to say I'm a Vaporfly guy, not an Alphafly guy. That was actually before I ever ran the Alphafly, so it didn't really make much sense. But I loved this shoe, the Vaporfly 2, man, and now I want to get some more miles in it. Maybe I'll do my afternoon run and the Vaporfly 2. But dude, the OG, beautiful. This was like when I ran the OG Prime X Strung. I was crying tears of joy up here. You know what I mean? I was listening to some Rio. It doesn't look super. It looks like an elf slipper, right? By the way, sun's coming out. I put on my sunscreen. Here's the thing. In the summer, any time of year really, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. Even if you have more melanin in your skin, if you have darker skin, it's still important to put sunscreen on to protect. So we're gonna be having a sunscreen sponsor on the channel soon. I'll give him a shout out now to Revive. My guy Ryan runs Revive. My shirt for today. It's a good product, I've been using it. So we'll have the affiliate link and the discount code coming for the app members soon too. I just thought it would be a good product to have a partner for the summer, right? Because a lot of us guys, we don't always take care of our skin the way that we should. This thing legitimately, it does not look, I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? It looks like, I guess it looks like it's from, what is the year 2018 or 2019? It really does look like that. But let's throw it up. We got 10 miles in the original Nike Vaporfly, the OG super shoe. And let me tell you, this thing does feel super, and it does live up to that name. I've tried to avoid saying this is super this is super that. The Hoka Tecton X3, that was another shoe that quite honestly did feel super on the trail side. You also get those rubber nubs and you get that Vibram outsole. With this streamlined feel, the foam packs a punch, it punches above its weight, feels really lightweight, nimble, and it reminds me of my first experiences in the Vaporfly 2. It might even be better. I think this might be the best Vaporfly. Now, the entire purpose of updating a shoe, so going from the 1 to the 2, and the 2 to the 3, the 3 to the 4, theoretically the purpose is to improve the product, right? To make it better. It's also to sell more models. But running in this, the realization today was race shoes really have not improved at all. And this has been something I've been saying for the past year or so. There really have not been very many breakthrough innovations. If you think about the different technologies or different things brands have tried, there's really been 3. Longevity's out here today. I thought it was Tuesdays. Can't catch a break. You get different types of foams, that's one. So now we have the TPUs, the TPEs, the supercritical this and that. You get the illegal trickeration, so the stack height going above 40 millimeters in the middle of the shoe. And then you get different geometries, so crazy rockers. This still feels like one of the best packages out there, and it's really hard to innovate. So I don't know if World Athletics needs to change the rules to innovate. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say, I'll put this maybe in the, no, this is its own category. So I would say geometries and the midfoot bump, that's one category. The other one is the drop-in insole. So that's what we're seeing now. Above the plate, you combine the insole with the top layer of foam. Even that feels like an evolutionary modification, not a revolution to the entire construction of a race shoe. With this, the main difference is before people were racing in these, there were very thin layers of foam. It was all about lightness. It was all about how light can a shoe be. They were not very protective. They were racing flats as streamlined as possible. The breakthrough here was allowing comfort and balance, and the plate was so you could get that taller stack of foam, have stability, and have something in there to allow the foam to do its job. Without the plate, it would be too mushy. Nowadays, it seems we've lost the plot, with brands either getting too soft and squishy like the Endorphin Elite 2, or just throwing plates and brick foams for no reason, like the Under Armour shoe and some other shoes. This really is the perfect race shoe, man. I think it just goes to show sometimes there are step changes when it comes to the innovation and evolution of a product or a competitive set, but it can take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years until we get to the next frontier. And we are still here. We're still here. There's no, other than Nike coming out with the Alphafly and having the bounce under the forefoot, there's not a lot of difference in what the shoes are today. So elements of this that are great. The foam was extremely soft and comfortable without being too mushy, squishy. I do think there's a limit due to the softness of this foam for me and how fast I want to go with it. When I'm dipping down to 520s, 530s, that's where these start feeling too soft and mushy. It's nothing against the Zoom X foam. It's any of these softer race foams, and that's where a shoe like the Sky Paris really does a nice job. And again, there's nothing revolutionary about the Sky Paris. It is very similar to this shoe or the Edge Paris. Doesn't matter about the plate position, but in the construction of those shoes, lightweight, nimble, good airy upper. The thing is, with that one, the PIBA is tuned firmer, and that's where the market has moved now. And probably the biggest difference between when this came out and now is that every brand does have a viable race shoe. You have the
Bodie, Floaty, New Balance SC Elite V4 Tempur-Pedic mattress shoes. You have the Hornet-like shoes in the Metaspeed Edge Paris and the Sky Paris. You have the Floaty Cruisers and the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. And you have the more aggressive soft shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2 and the Adidas Adios Pro 4. So there's a wide range, and of course Cloudboom Strike, I put that in the floaty but fun, fast category. There's a wider range of shoes now so that every type of runner can get a shoe that is fine-tuned for their preferences. Difference 5 years ago was this was the one option everyone had to get this. It was either this or the Alphafly until brands slowly started coming out with products that could compete. Now, if you were to lab test a shoe, and I talked about this last week, that new Puma shoe that's coming out, the Fast R3, it's been reported that it's the most efficient shoe ever for everybody. That's impossible. There's no such thing as the most efficient shoe ever for everybody. And maybe they've engineered some breakthrough new foam, but because there are so many options, you can find something that works well for you. If you're a 250-pound forefoot striker, if you're a 300-pound heel striker, if you're a 130-pound midfoot driver with a 185 cadence, you can find a shoe that's fine-tuned for your preferences, for your foot strike, and for the style of race you're gonna do. That's the biggest difference between now. But purely for what this is a complete banger. Nike nailed it in this generation. It feels super fast, super light, super comfortable. It can stand up to everything else on the market. That is my biggest surprise today, and that's what I felt about the OG Prime X Strung as well. It just blows my mind how, I guess 3 years is a long time, or 5-6 years is a long time, but at the same time it's not, right? The market has changed so much, but this still feels competitive. It doesn't feel all that different from the 3. The 3 feels like a slightly worse version of this. The heel is wobblier, it's narrower. I actually didn't throw the caliper. Did I throw the calipers on? Regardless, this didn't feel as narrow. It also felt more protective with the fresh ZoomX. And that's the thing with the ZoomX, right? The 3 came out last year. I don't think they've changed it all that much in the 4. The issue with ZoomX, as we're seeing from here, is it frays, and it's not that durable. So that is still an issue 5 years on. Where's the engineering development there? I guess it's nowhere, because there's no profit margin potential in brands engineering more durability into their race shoes. But Saucony is saying with that super soft, squishy Endorphin Elite 2, that is one of the most resilient compounds. They're saying that lasts a super long time. So if you want to run on a marshmallow for 500 miles, go get the Endorphin Elite 2. But the market has proliferated. These race shoes have proliferated. There's now 17, maybe between 15 and 25 legit marathon shoes that are sold mainstream in the Western market, in the US market, that are solid, viable choices that I would review and consider legitimate marathon race shoes. And this one still does compete with all of them. 10 miles, let's throw up the run again here, right? 10 miles at a 6:50 pace. And it felt great. So let's go through the 3 questions that we answer on these first run reviews. First, how does this do versus its intended purpose? It is intended to be a fast, light, nimble marathon race shoe. Fast, yes. Light, yes. Nimble, yes. Marathon, potentially, and this is what I'm saying about how some of these shoes have evolved. The one downside is with the softness, with how much power I'm driving through a shoe, and with the main characteristic of ZoomX being that floaty sensation, it still doesn't feel as protective as some of the other race foams that have now evolved, just because of how airy and compliant it is. But I do have to say, it was not bottoming out towards the end of the run, and it still felt decently fluffy. Now, as we get 50, 60, 70 miles on it, it will go away, but it completely smashes it. And I've said this about 7 times now, but I understand now why this was such a innovation, why this was such a category-shattering product. And some things, man, some legends never die. I went back earlier this weekend and I was walking in the 1080 V13, and it felt so good. Whenever I put on my Brooks Ghost Max, gosh dang, this is good. Whenever I run the OG Prime X Strung, there's some shoes that just stand the test of time, and this is one of them. Number 2, how does this compare to the competitive set? And this is where, again, looking at the options we have on the market, this definitely feels like a shorter, faster shoe, just given the construction of it. It's not super bulky, which I like. And it's interesting that Nike in the 4 is now going back to that more streamlined feel, because you have the Endorphin Elite 2, you have the SC Elite V4, and some of these shoes are too big and bulky. Yes, I'm max cushion gang. I'm also
chief sicko of the mileage department. But when it comes to race day and when it comes to running fast, I do like a trimmer, slimmer feel. I love those Metaspeed shoes when I'm trying to get the best out of myself, and this feels very similar. So if you're watching this video and you still have a fond place in your heart for this shoe, and by the way, when this came out, I wasn't even running. I think I was, do you guys know I'm only 29? People are surprised. I'm gonna be 30 this year in September. So if this came, I don't know the exact, let me look it up. OG, I think it was 2017, right? Hold on. Grant was texting me. Actually, this is what I think I was gonna say before. It was 2017 or 2018, but the daily consistency on the Supwell Running Instagram has worked. And this is why I always say you gotta put in that work every day. You could get mad or you could get motivated. Look at this. We've hit 1 million views on the Supwell Instagram. We had 1,600 followers in January. We're now at 5,600 followers right now because we've been posting reels and posts every day. Talk about the progression, right? The goal of putting out more products and putting out more is to get better. Have they done this? No, but we have at Supwell Running. Go follow us, Supwell Running Instagram. Yeah, 7-8 years ago, I was not running, and whenever I run in one of these older shoes, people say, oh, 10 years ago, this was a Max Cushion Gang shoe. 10 years ago, this was high stack. 10 years ago, I was slugging beers in the basement of D-Sig, chugging Natty Lights. Miss me with that 10 years ago, okay? Point being, the market has evolved, but if you have a fond place in your heart for this, there still are some options. Newer Vaporfly, I'm hoping, can compete with this, and I'm really trying to get my hands on that soon. But I'm glad I didn't, because if I had run in that, I don't know if I would have even cracked this out of the box. But the Metaspeed shoes, those feel the most similar in terms of the spirit. However, they are just so aggressive. And what this has that a lot of the more aggressive shoes don't right now is the comfort. That is the ZoomX key. Comfort. And when you think of the Invincible, Vomero, all these implementations of the ZoomX, and why I was so disappointed in the Gloomfly bricks in the Pegasus Plus initially at 180, and why I was not disappointed in the Pegasus Premium, which surprised some people, is because ZoomX is about the comfort. And the best ZoomX shoes have it. Invincible, Vomero 17, in the Pegasus Premium. And this has the comfort with the speed. So I'm really hoping Nike brings that back in the Vaporfly 4. But for now, you could go one of two directions. You could either go into the soft but fast direction, like in the Cloud Boom Strike, or you could go in the aggressive, streamlined direction, like the Metaspeed Sky Paris and Edge Paris. Those work my calves some more. The Edge Paris does have more foam on top of the plate than the Sky Paris, so that would feel slightly closer to this, but it doesn't have as much juice when I'm hitting my top end speeds. Third question, how does this compare to everything else on the market? And this is where it really gets fun, because if you compare it against the category, it has the comfort, it has the nimbleness. If you compare it to everything else on the market, today, this still feels like a race shoe, but it also reminded me some of my favorite speed training shoes, like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2 or Speed 3. It had that fun, soft, floating along feel that I loved in the Endorphin Speed 3, that I loved in the Prime X Strong, and that's missing from that tempo category, that super trainer category today. We've gone either super max stack, where we now have the Mag Maxes of the world and the Skyward X of the world, and then we have these lower aggressive shoes like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 in the On Cloud Boom Zone and the Pegasus Plus. This one reminded me of that middle category that used to be more prominent, that used to be what that was about. So Zoomfly 7 potentially, hopefully they'll bring this back. This makes me want to get another run in the Gloomfly bricks, but man, I'm telling you, when Zoomfly is done right, and it's hard to do it right, but they've done it right in this shoe, started everything, and some of the other shoes. When it's done right, the supreme comfort, the bounce, and the joy just are unparalleled. It's unlike anything else on the market. OG Prime X Strong has that quality too, that just puts a gosh dang smile on my face. That of course has the firmer tuning, but this is a special shoe. So there you go. That's the original Vaporfly. You already know where I got it. Supwell app. If you're looking to get some retro dead stock heat, or join a community of sickos looking to get better every day, make sure you're on the Supwell app. All right, that's all I have for you today, at least out here. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the rest of the day, but either way, I'm going to be back tomorrow with another video. Haters preying on my downfall. Called the cops, that's the wrong call. Demon slugs up. You know we're trying to ball. Stacking in the summer, grinding in the fall. Stand on the business, 7 feet tall. Ah! Can't stop me, Karen. The mayor called you a Karen. That's embarrassing, bro. The mayor of Mint Hill called you a Karen. Sit down. Run number 2. Run number 2. For the sickos, my love is true. Only for the sickos, my love is true. Oh, my mom was waking up from her nap. She's hearing me sing a lullaby. By the way, people think the lullaby song yesterday was me. I honestly don't know if I should be offended or flattered. I don't think that sounded like me at all. I don't. My mom thought it was me, too. I was eating my breakfast this morning, and she said, oh, these laces are backwards. I hate that. And she said, oh, that was great singing in the video. What are you talking about? Why does everyone think that was me? That was not me. I searched Rockabye Baby, copyright free. By the way, I was all stressed out about getting banged on the copyright music, but no. Barefoot Mafia could not take me down. The Biz Marquee, for some reason, man, Baby Got Back was blasting in the gym, and Biz Marquee, Just a Friend, was blasting in the gym. And for some reason, or somehow, I was able to not let that affect the monetization. Crazy. But yeah, that was not my singing. You know what is my singing? Ripping 5:10 pace in the Vaporfly 2. That's not about to happen. I'm about to go for my afternoon run. I usually do this as a recovery run, but I thought it would be fun to do a comparison here. Wow, this was really low, huh? That was just pointed just at the tip. These do feel very narrow and pointy. But yeah, compared to the one, this is a way roomier fit. Very similar though, man. And this Zoom X, man, the Vaporfly 2 Zoom X and Vaporfly 1 Zoom X is so nice. This has got me excited for the 4 again. The 3 lost me. I was not a huge fan of the Vaporfly 3, but yeah, a nice OG Zoom X. There's something special about it. So let's get these miles in, then we can do a quick comparison 1v2. Some more good miles. That's what happens when I do a relaxed long run on Sunday. I did 20 on the treadmill yesterday. Able to get 2 solid runs in, 6:49 pace, just about the same pace as this morning. 28 minutes, 45 seconds. And these are great for that faster daily mile fun zone for me. Again, if I'm pushing serious power, I'm not going to be going in the Vaporfly anymore, but you know what? This was my second ever race shoe, and that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of training for my first marathon. It reminds me of the race that I did in this. It was my first ever timed half marathon. I've still only raced a handful of half marathons. I'm not a huge racer, but in that race, man, I was in second place. I was actually clipping off some 550s. I was flying in this thing. Once you get it going, you can really get it going. That's the thing with these
Vaporflies, they are so fast. It almost has this magic quality to it that something about the Vaporfly, the 1 and 2, it's just special. I'm really hoping they brought that back in the 4. But in that race, I was in second place. I took a wrong turn. And I didn't realize till about mile 10 or 11, and I turned to a staff member because it was this weird closed loop sort of situation up near Brevard, North Carolina. And I said, I think I took a wrong turn. And this guy who was running the race, probably about 57 years old, dripped out in Tracksmith, turns to me and said, "You're going to get DQ'd." And you could just imagine what he looked like. So I let that hit me hard. I jogged for about 5 more minutes, and then I just quit. I just dropped out of the race because I knew I was going to be DQ'd. And I called Charlie, and I had put a lot into that race. It was one of the most difficult, probably the most difficult time of my professional career. I was unemployed at the time, looking for a new job. We had a 3-year-old in Mason and a 6-month-old in Reevesy. And I just broke down when Charlie came to me, and I remember Mason kept asking me why I didn't finish, why I didn't get to the start line. And it was that race that I vowed I would never quit a race again. And that's why when I did that ultra, I didn't quit. And that's why we have the DQ mentality, and that's why we keep going every day, because it's not about the racing. It's about life, how to get out of a tough situation. So that's what I think about when I think about these shoes, second carbon plated shoe ever, and how far we've come now. So some more good miles, 14 miles. Life is ups and downs. Today was ups and downs, but we're still winning. That's the thing. We're still winning. It's a beautiful gosh dang day out here, and we're going to be back tomorrow with another video. Hold on, there's one more thing I forgot about these. So I didn't run in them for almost, I think I used them one more time for that block in 2022. Terrible run. I actually really crashed and burned at the end of my first marathon block. It was not a good place overall. But I didn't use these for about 6, 7, 8 months after, because I thought these were bad luck. I didn't actually think they were bad luck, but it just gave me bad vibes and bad memories. And then I decided to, there's a bee coming. Bees are good luck. But yeah, I decided to take them out for another half marathon that summer 2023. I actually have a video on it on my channel, very early days of my channel. And I ended up winning that half marathon in these. There weren't a lot of people in sub 90 half marathon shape. Regardless, all that is to say, there's no luck in running. You create your own destiny. You put in the work, and you get after it. That's it. That's why I love running, man. No good luck. There's no bad luck. Just come out here and get active. You want to call someone? Call the mileage department.